Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've said that. I feel like it's been going on to a month since I've been back on here, but as you can see by the title, today I'm going to tell you guys the story of what's been happening lately. Story slash life update. Recently, I was in the hospital for the past month. I've been in and out of the hospital, so I want to let you guys know what's been happening, where I've been, and just fill you guys in on everything. So if you guys are interested, please keep on watching. But before we get into the video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, turn your post notifications on, add me on Instagram because I've actually been very active on Instagram. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm always posting on there. Even when I was in the hospital, I was posting on there. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and let's get into the video. So I'm going to take you guys back to where it first started. So Valentine's Day, the 14th. Everything was great, living my best life, had such a great time. My boyfriend made it super, super special for me. He didn't do anything too crazy because of COVID. Everything's still closed out here, all the restaurants. So what he did is he actually decorated the place like really super cute and he made it into a restaurant. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you guys would have seen I posted it on there, but it was super, super cute. So Valentine's Day was just perfect. Now the next day, the 15th, which is actually family day in Canada, me and my family were planning on like doing like a whole day together, just like spending time together, having a dinner. So me and my boyfriend were gonna go to my parents' house and I was getting ready to go. But the whole time, from the minute I woke up, I didn't feel good. I started feeling a pain right here in the middle, like in the middle of my breast right here. It was just hurting and it was like going into my stomach. And I was like, okay, maybe it's because I'm hungry. Maybe like something's just off. I was like, I'm not thinking like something's wrong. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just hungry. So I'm just like getting ready the whole time because I told my parents we would be there by the afternoon. So I'm like getting ready. But at this point, we're already behind schedule because I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, I can't bring myself to get ready. Then it starts getting worse. Like the pain is like excruciating. I was like, okay, wait a second. I know my body more than anybody does. And I know that this is not okay. Like this pain is not normal. It's not from food. It's not from being hungry. Like this is just not okay. So I tell my boyfriend like, no, I have to go to the hospital. We cannot go to my parents. I have to go to the hospital. I'm not okay. And at first he was like, are you sure? Because I'm a little dramatic sometimes. I must admit, I'm a little dramatic. So I feel like he thought I was being dramatic at first. So he's like, Carla, are you sure? Like, you want to go to the hospital? Like, are you sure? And he's like, do you want to go to your parents and eat? Maybe it's like you need food. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I need to go. Like, I need to go right now. No question about it. I need to go to the hospital. So he drives me to the hospital. Because of COVID, nobody's allowed in the hospital. So it's just me by myself. My boyfriend can't come in. My parents can't come in. Nothing. But my parents are like so worried. So my parents drive to the hospital and my parents and my boyfriend are just sitting outside waiting for me like in the car the whole time, which was super cute. And I was like, guys, just please go home. But back to the story. I'm in the hospital. I go in. They instantly take me in. They start doing blood work. They start running tests. And at this point, I'm struggling to breathe now. Like I'm really struggling to breathe. Throughout the day, it was getting worse and worse, but I'm feeling a lot of chest pain, a lot of like pain right here in the center. My back's starting to hurt like really badly. I'm starting to struggle. I'm literally like like that. Like I'm struggling to breathe. I'm starting to sweat a lot too. So all these symptoms are coming up and I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, wait, what if I have COVID? Because all of these are COVID symptoms. So I already start thinking I have COVID. And I'm telling my boyfriend, like, I have COVID. Like, I definitely have COVID. So I get to the hospital. They start doing the blood work and stuff, and they ask all the COVID questions, and they're like, okay, they're like, we think that's COVID because of all the symptoms. So I'm like crying, guys. Like I'm crying the whole time. I'm bawling, and I'm like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? So I'm freaking out. The whole time I'm in the hospital, I'm scared, guys. Being there by myself, being there during COVID, I'm like so scared, especially now because I'm thinking I might have COVID. I'm so scared, but they ended up putting me on morphine, which is a strong painkiller. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling no pain. Like all the pain went away. I can breathe properly because I'm hooked up to a bunch of machines. I'm on the morphine, so I'm literally just like high out my mind. So I'm feeling good. So then they come back and then they're like, okay, they're like, we think we know what it is. They're like, it's your thyroid. Your thyroid levels are off. They're like, that's what's causing you not to be able to breathe and causing you the pain. So now that they figured it out, they're like, you're okay to go home. If you feel this pain again, just take a painkiller. You'll be good to go. Like you'll be fine. So I'm like, okay. So I ended up leaving and I probably was in the hospital for maybe, I would say 3 hours, 4 hours, I would say, maybe longer. I don't remember, but I was just there for a few hours. So I go back home. I go back home and I was feeling the pain again at night. I started to feel it, but I took a painkiller right away and then it went away, went to sleep. The next day, Tuesday, I wake up feeling fine. I was like, okay, maybe it went away. Maybe like they solved it. I'm like, okay, I'm good. So goes away. I feel totally fine on Tuesday. Wednesday hits, and like this, it's back. Wednesday morning, I wake up and out of nowhere, I feel the pain again. Like the pain starts here. It feels like a stabbing pain, like somebody's like stabbing me. Like it is so, so bad, guys. I'm not being dramatic. It's like a 10 out of 10. And it's starting here and it's going into my stomach. And I'm like literally hunched over now. Like I'm hunched over crying. And when I tell you, like I'm bawling my eyes out, like I'm sobbing. I'm on the floor crying. I'm hunched over the bed crying. I'm literally like all over the place, just crying my eyes out because I'm in so much pain. So I'm just there crying my eyes out, being hysterical. Like it was so bad. And my boyfriend, he was just like so lost. He did not know what to do. And earlier he was on his PlayStation. And you know how guys are when they're on the PlayStation, they're on the mic with their friends. So I know all his friends probably just heard me there crying my eyes out, like screaming. But at this point, I didn't care. I was like, I am in so much pain. I could not deal. Like, it was so bad. Mind you, I'm still thinking, what if I have COVID? Because it was not ruled out. They took a test, but it takes a few days for the test to come back. So I'm just like, what if I do have COVID? Now, what if my boyfriend has it? I'm just like freaking out and I'm like, oh my God, this is definitely COVID. I can't breathe. So what I do at this point is I actually call a doctor on the phone. There's like a service where you can just talk to them over the phone kind of thing. So I have an appointment with the doctor and I let them know what's happening. I let them know everything that's happening. And I was like, I went to the hospital. They're telling me it's my thyroid. The doctor is like, they're like, that doesn't sound too promising. They're like, that typically doesn't happen with thyroid levels. And they're like, I don't think that that's what it is. Like, you need to go back to the hospital if you're struggling to breathe. So instantly, as soon as I hang up that phone, I'm like to my boyfriend, I'm like, I need to go back to the hospital now. Like, something is going on with me. I'm scared I can't breathe. Like, I have to go back. So I go back to the hospital. Go back to the hospital, and now what I do is I actually go to another hospital. I don't go to that one. I went to another one because I was like, I need to try another hospital because the first one clearly did not figure out what it was. So I go to another one. Check me in. They do the exact same tests. They do blood work, but this time they do ultrasounds, they do x-rays, they do so many tests on me. So I'm like, okay, hopefully now they figure it out. Again, they put me on morphine, which is so strong, guys. If you guys have been on morphine before at the hospital, you guys know it's so, so strong. So I got put on that. So the feelings are gone. I'm feeling fine again. I'm feeling high. Like, I'm feeling fine. So they finally come back with the test results and they're like, you know what it is? They're like, it's your liver. And then they're like, your liver doesn't look too good. They're like, it looks inflamed. And they're like, this is probably a cause of your Accutane. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. Two and two together, it makes sense. Accutane usually does affect your liver because it's very strong. And as you guys know, I've been on Accutane for 5 months now. So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And I told the first hospital I was on Accutane, but I don't think they figured that part out. So this hospital's like, no, they're like, it's your liver. It's just not responding well to the Accutane. So they're like, you need to stop your Accutane like now. You need to stop the Accutane. You need to stop the birth control. Like, you need to stop everything. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to stop it. So then I'm like, okay, we figured it out. They sent me home with painkillers, and now they send me home with morphine painkillers. So they're super, super strong. And then they were like, when you go to sleep, they're like, you have to make sure you're sitting up. You cannot lay down because you're not gonna be able to breathe if you're laying down. So I'm like, okay, so I'm scared to sleep now because I'm like, what if I die in my sleep? Like, I can't breathe. So they tell me I have to sleep sitting up with a bunch of pillows behind me. And the pain is still not going away. Like, the pain's still there. It's still excruciating. I still can't breathe. The painkiller isn't even working at this point. It's not doing anything. So I'm like, I have to go back to the hospital. So I go back to the hospital again. And this time it's the worst out of all the days that I've been. It's like the worst pain. Like, I can barely even walk. I felt like I was gonna faint. The nurse had to actually hold me to walk me to the bed because I could no longer walk anymore because I couldn't breathe. As soon as they laid me down in the bed, the doctor comes rushing in and they could see that I could no longer breathe. I swear to you, I was like going pale. Like, it was so, so scary. The doctor comes in, the nurse comes in, and the nurse is just like, she can't breathe, she can't breathe. They're like, we have to do something now. So now it's like, guys, it's like a movie scene. Like, it's so scary. And this never happened the other days. So it's like a movie now. Just picture a nurse and a doctor like freaking out saying she can't breathe, she can't breathe. And they're like saying all these codes, which I don't know what that means, obviously. And the doctor goes, she has a blood clot in her lung. So then the doctor says, hook her up to the morphine right now, hook her up onto the machine so she can breathe. And then he's like, we have to start dissolving her blood. And then the doctor says to me, there's a blood clot in your lung that's stopping you to breathe. And they're like, we need to dissolve your blood instantly, or else that blood clot is going to block your lung and you could possibly completely stop breathing. So he's like, we're going to start thinning your blood now. So again, freaking out. I'm crying again. The whole time, all these days, I've been crying the whole time because I'm just scared. And when it comes to pain, guys, I am very, like, I'm such a baby when it comes to pain. So I'm crying now. They hook me up like this, guys. When I tell you it was instant like a movie, it was like this. They hooked me up. I had two nurses hooking me up to so many machines. The morphine just hit so quick. My legs went numb. They were like cold. My arms were numb. Everything just went numb. Couldn't feel anything anymore. I could barely even talk. Like, it was just the worst feeling of how strong this drug was. And then they start hooking me up to a blood thinner. So they're thinning out all my blood because they're thinking it's a blood clot. So I'm like, okay, maybe now they found a blood clot that they didn't find the other day. So they're dissolving the blood, maybe for like about 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, the doctor comes back and he says, Carla, and he was like, you don't have a blood clot. We just checked the test. They're like, it's not a blood clot. And he's like, this is really weird. He's like, because you're showing all the symptoms of somebody that has a blood clot in their lung, but they're like, you don't have one. So he was like, it was a misdiagnosis. And he's like, we're going to take you off the blood thinner and stop thinning out your blood. So I'm like, okay. They stopped the treatment. And at this point, guys, I'm so frustrated because every time I'm going to the hospital, they keep telling me different things. They're telling me it's my thyroid, then they're telling me it's my liver, then they're telling me I have a blood clot now, which was a misdiagnosis. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't know what's happening. So they end up just keeping me overnight because of the severity of the situation and they don't know what's happening, kind of thing. So then the next day they ended up sending in a hospital medical team, and they came in and they just like spoke to me about everything and what's been happening. And then they're like, no, they're like, it's your liver. They're like, you have to make sure you're not taking the Accutane anymore, and that's what it is. So I'm like, okay. So I stopped taking the medication. I didn't take the medication for a few days, but I still wasn't feeling good. So it was just a nightmare, guys, a nightmare. The whole time I'm there, I'm just like texting my parents, texting my boyfriend, texting my sister, FaceTiming, texting my friends. Like, I can't really have contact with people, so I'm just like texting and FaceTiming. And I can't even imagine how they're feeling. Like, they're so scared for me. They don't really know what's happening. So it was just so stressful. So then after I end up leaving the hospital, and again, I was sent home with more painkillers because that's just what they do. They just send you home with painkillers. So they send me home with it, and then I call my dermatologist and I tell my dermatologist what's happening. I call my family doctor. I got in contact with the liver specialist. Like, I was just having calls on calls with so many doctors, and everybody was like so confused because they're like, how is this happening? So the end result was that I could no longer be on Accutane because my Accutane was, I guess, too strong for my body. After all these months, it just was no longer working for it. So I was completely taken off. My dermatologist was like, yeah, and he's like, we cannot keep you on Accutane anymore if this is what's happening to you. I was just so sad because with my Accutane, like, my Accutane journey has been about 5 months now, and I've been keeping you guys updated with it. And I never felt any side effects. I never felt anything, but I was just sad because I was like, it's been 5 months. I put so much time into it, so much money. Like, I was almost there. Usually Accutane is 6 to 8 months, so I was almost done my course. So I was like really sad that I couldn't finish it. So that happened like over a few weeks, and I started to feel a little bit better. But then out of nowhere, last week it happened again. I started feeling the pain again. I couldn't breathe. So I ended up going back to the hospital, and they did keep me there. So I stayed there. So they started running tests again, and it has just been a headache, guys. It's been such a headache. It's been so stressful, but I'm out of the hospital now. As you can see, I am out. I'm feeling much, much better. But now I'm on like a strict diet that I can only drink water. I can't have soda, I can't have pop, I can't have tea, I can't have coffee. And if you guys know, I'm addicted to iced coffee, so I cannot have coffee either. I can't have red meat. I can only have like chicken breasts and vegetables. So I'm on like a diet because of how severe the pain has been, and like with my liver and the Accutane. So it's just been rough. So I'm on a diet now, which I feel like is not too bad because a girl's been trying to get back in the gym. So the diet's helping. I still have like appointments coming up and stuff just to make sure like everything goes back to normal. So far, I'm feeling good. Like, fingers crossed, I'm back to feeling normal. I've been feeling pretty good lately, and I haven't been taking painkillers or anything. So I think it's safe to say I am back. I am back on here. I am back to filming. I really missed filming. There's so many days where I was like, I need to film all these things, but I was like, I just don't feel good. But that's what's been been happening to me. So that is the end of my story. That's pretty much what happened to me, and I'm just so happy to be back. I'm feeling good. Like I said, fingers crossed. I am feeling better now, and I'm gonna feel good now. I'm gonna feel fine. So I am back. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram because, like I said, that's where I've been active. Every day I've been posting on there. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.